I'm Paul Perkins with the check of your ag weather. After seasonal highs right around 80 today, easterly winds off high pressure building in from Minnesota result in tomorrow and Saturday being our coolest days of the next week, with highs mostly in the mid-70s to the low 80s. A few sprinkles or a brief light shower may occur tomorrow morning with a very weak disturbance. As the ridge of high pressure builds east onto the plains, the weekend through Wednesday is dry with the warming trend. Highs Sunday warm into the mid-80s to around 90. Monday through the first 2 days of Husker Harvest days on Tuesday and Wednesday, highs topping out mostly in the upper 80s to the low 90s, even some mid-90s over northwest Kansas on Monday. The return of warm and dry weather Sunday through Wednesday leads to elevated fire weather concerns across the eastern panhandle and the western sandhills. Checking our long-term forecast, temperatures for Nebraska and Kansas stay warmer than normal Tuesday and all the way through at least September 18th, especially the mid to late part of next week. Mostly dry weather continues with high chances of below normal rainfall Tuesday through September 18th for Nebraska and Kansas. In the latest regional drought monitor, Nebraska dropped 11 percentage points to 32% drought-free. Right along I-80 is where it's mostly drought-free. Much of the decrease in drought-free coverage is due to more areas that are abnormally dry in much of far southern Nebraska and the north central to the northeast. Coverage of moderate to severe drought increased 4 percentage points to 28% of Nebraska and includes Clay and Nuckolls counties and points to the southeast and from Cherry County to the northwest panhandle. Kansas decreased 2 percentage points to only 6% drought-free. Drought-free to abnormally dry areas are in much of the western and eastern thirds of Kansas. Moderate to severe drought coverage increased a percentage point to 51% in Kansas and includes all of central Kansas and an area from Goodland to Hill City. Key weather factors driving the markets include dry weather with heat increasing in the Corn Belt and dry weather before spring in South America. A cold front extending southwestward from the Great Lakes moves eastward, reaching the Atlantic seaboard this weekend. Briefly heavy rain may accompany the front in parts of the Great Lakes and the Northeast. Cool air behind the front leads to widespread weekend temperatures below 50 in the Midwest. Scattered frost is even possible in the upper Great Lakes, but well outside any major corn and soybean areas. Wet weather continues across the deep south with 5-day rainfall possibly reaching 2 to 6 inches or more from coastal Texas to the southern Atlantic coast. There is a sharp northern cutoff to any rain with mostly dry weather expected from the northern Mississippi Delta to the mid-Atlantic states. A spell of hot, dry weather covers much of the western half of the U.S. with record-setting highs expected through the weekend as far north as the northern plains and the interior northwest. Heat continues to spread throughout most of the U.S. next week, including very hot temperatures in northern areas. The northern plains and Canadian prairies may see scattered rain late next week or weekend, while showers continue along the Gulf Coast. The rest of the U.S. stays dry next week. In Brazil, rain is only occurring in the far southern areas of Rio Grande do Sul, where soil moisture is better. Rains are not making it farther north, and central Brazil's wet season rains might be delayed to October, a bad sign for soybeans and second crop corn. Most of Argentina continues to be very dry for developing wheat and corn planting. Only northern Argentina is in line for limited rain this week and possibly a little more rain the middle of next week. I'm Paul Perkins. That's a check of your ag weather.